Hi, everybody. This is Vicki Ronchette with Show Dog Prep School, and today I'm here with Remy Smith-Lewis of Remus Portuguese Water Dogs. Today, we're going to be talking about getting buyers to good breeders because there's a real disconnect there, and we're going to be getting into that a little bit. I always like to start with how we met, and I think we just met from being local in the same dog show circuit, seeing each other. I've worked with, a puppy that Remy bred and worked with Remy a little bit with one of his dogs. But what really brought this conversation and this whole plan for a talk here was that Remy had posted on his Facebook page about meeting some people who had some sort of a doodle, right? Actually, why don't you tell the story?
Yeah. And before I tell the story, I want to tell why I think I am the way that I am in dogs. So my first dog show ever, being a Bay Area kid, was Golden Gate Kennel Club, which is a vintage dog show, as we all know. And
right.
I was 9 years old, 10 years old, knew nothing about purebred dog, not show dog, but I knew about purebred dogs. I went to this dog show, and if it was not have been for the Portuguese Water Dog breeder, Tim and Lisa Hubbard, who were nice to me, I would not be where I'm at today. So I just want to preface that by saying that's my foundation of me not
one couple being nice to you.
Correct. Literally one couple, one husband saying oh, you want to do this? Oh, come meet my wife. And then she introduced me to her handler, and then the rest was history. So
right.
I want to preface everything by saying, imagine just when you nice to one, the effect it could be. So I want to start by saying that. So fast forward 20 something years, I was leaving the barbershop, get a haircut. I saw this couple having dinner on the patio, and they had a cute puppy at their feet, a doodle of some sort, I knew. And I just, I asked them hey, what made you want to get, a puppy? What did you choose? And have you ever, and they said, oh, they're hyperallergenic and this and this. And I said, oh, great. And I said, have you ever thought about a Portuguese water dog? And she said, well, we wanted one, but the breeder that we emailed never got back to us. And the one that we talked on the phone was rude to us. And my jaw hit the ground. I was just knock the air out of me. And I was well, and I won't name the names of those two breeders, but I was well, I breed Portuguese water dogs also. Pulled up my iPhone, showed them pictures of oh my God, your dog's beautiful. And I said, listen, I know you guys just got a puppy. Best of luck with it. But if you ever want to meet some Portuguese water dogs, if you want to just talk, I'm more than happy to have you come up to the house, see them, whatever. Let's stay in touch. And, I gave them my card and I left. But I remember getting in the car feeling so deflated, oh my God, this is someone who purposely wanted a purebred dog. And we failed. Not one person, but two people failed them by not being there and promoting our fabulous breed. And I do think my breed is fabulous. And instead they bought this Labradoodle, which no harm. I mean, so it was a great puppy, fab, whatever, but they would have been a fabulous home to own a purebred AKC registered Portuguese water dog, but we failed them.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when people slip through the cracks like that, I know, excuse me, in the rescue community, it's if somebody has a bad experience, it's they're done. It's they're done with rescues for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Right. So if they have a good experience with this doodle that they got, they're probably going to get another doodle, because why wouldn't they? Now, luckily they ran into you and met you, and that was, that was lucky for them. But I just think it really does, I mean, it lets us know that there's an issue here, right? There's a disconnect. And so we have to figure out how can we make this better? How can we, us being, reputable breeders who are doing health testing and trying to really breed healthy, stable, quality dogs, why aren't, how do we get these people? And, why aren't they coming to us? So one of the things I wanted to talk about, we were just kind of chatting about it before, is the first thing that struck me about your post was that you went up and complimented their puppy and struck up a conversation, right? So it's become very in vogue now to be a snob. And it's that's so not where I'm from. From dogs, I mean, my parents were, they didn't breed a lot, but they were essentially backyard breeders, right? We had a Shih Tzu, they bred it, they sold the puppies. We love the puppies, but it was not how I breed now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just love dogs, so I'm not gonna be mad, and part of it is I'm a groomer, right? I groom doodles all the time,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
I don't hate the people or hate the dogs, and I think the fact that you were just willing to go up and, like, start that conversation
Yeah.
without like, "Ugh, like, what is that? That's
Yeah.
why didn't you get a Portuguese
Yeah.
Water Dog?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that that's so important.
Yeah, no, I think it's spot on. I think it goes back to what I said in my opening statement, like just being nice to people.
Yep.
And we have to be our biggest promoters of our breeds. And then I think also we need to get off of this elitist train. Like I've said it before, like I think the doodle craze, a lot of it is totally our fault. I think my breed historically has gotten really used to have these crazy puppy contracts of like you buy this puppy from me, I breed it and show it and get the fifth puppy back. I mean, like these crazy, and it just turns
Yeah.
people off. And I think the history behind that is some of the original people who had our breed were lawyers. And so I think they wrote these crazy contracts,
Oh, yeah.
just being a lawyer. And then I think like, oh, let me see your puppy contract. And the puppy contracts kind of circulated around the community. Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, we had some crazy puppy contracts with people. So anyway, I said so like that, even that whole thing, that's kind of a turn off for a family who's coming to buy a puppy from you, and it's like, oh wait, I gotta do this and that. I just want to buy a dog for my kids. Um,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah. So I'm not saying don't have a contract, but I'm saying also be realistic. And if you need a contract that crazy, then you probably shouldn't be selling them a dog
Yeah.
um, to begin with.
Or yeah, or you might not feel comfortable actually selling animals. Like, if
Exactly.
you're that worried, like, I always feel like the last litter, I had talked to the people and they had a lot of questions for me, and I very much go by my gut, by, like,
Mhm.
how I
Yeah.
feel, and in my last litter, I had the bitch I kept, and I
Mhm.
had a show puppy, and I sold him to a pet home, and
Yeah.
I had show people inquire about him, but it's like, to me, it's just as valuable to have some wonderful, fabulous pet people walking
Yeah.
down the street with a healthy, beautiful,
Healthy
stable
dog. Right.
dog
Right.
too, right? So
Right.
I'm not going to be,
Right.
I did say to them, he's really nice. Do you have any interest in showing? No, we're not into that. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, then
True.
let's talk about,
Let's talk about this. Yeah.
yeah.
And
And
maybe
then
you
they don't
say,
have to do it.
right, and maybe say, "Hey, there's a show in Vallejo." Just that people bash on Vallejo, but I think it's us Bay Area breeders, like it's the greatest thing because it's
Yeah,
centrally located, and so you can say like, "Just come to Vallejo Dog Show," and just see
exactly.
it. And so yeah. Anyway, Vallejo's great.
Yeah, but I think that that's very true. It needs to be realistic, and people need to feel like, one of the things with, like, my career is that I did dog training and
Mhm.
in-home pet consulting for years, right? So the only the only buy-in I need
Mm.
for what I need you to do to make your dog okay is those people, right? The
Right.
people who own the dog.
Right.
But with the show dog people, it's like
Yeah.
I've got the owners and then the breeders and then their friends and then the handler. And so then it's like I've got to get buy-in from like 4 or 5 people that this is the way to go with that dog.
Yeah.
And so that's really the people who live with the dog and love the dog take a big hit there because they really are feeling like, "Don't you care about him? Like you want me to show him even though he's afraid, but, like, this doesn't seem good for the dog." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
just that whole idea of sort of treating puppy people or the public like they're stupid, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I think
Yeah.
can be
No, for
really
sure.
damaging too.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree. 100%. 100%.
And, um, we also talked about I see a lot of people, because if what we wanna do is attract people, right, we
Mhm.
need to figure out ways to be more approachable.
Exactly.
And I've seen just horrendous posts on Facebook where
Yeah. Yeah.
people will say, somebody wrote to me and they asked all these stupid questions and they asked me this and they're so stupid. And I'm going, this is literally a teaching moment. Like
Yeah.
they're asking your opinion.
Right.
They want to know what you think. You
Right.
cannot just write them off because
Correct.
that's when they're going to go to a big fancy beautiful website, and we'll get to that.
Exactly.
Where you can literally hit buy now and you've got your deposit done and you got a puppy
Done.
on the way.
You go to SFO 2 weeks later and there's a puppy there, right?
Yep,
Like, which in our society, Amazon, we're so used to like, what is I gotta wait 6 months? What are you talking about? Like,
exactly.
because it doesn't resonate. So you have to educate of like why my puppies are worth the wait, why my years of experience in this breed is important. And it's, again, like we have to promote ourselves. I think that's the biggest thing. You have to be approachable. We get into the technology piece of it, which I'm a huge component of. I think also the reality of this is, like, let's be honest, a lot of dog show people or dog people are not people. They have no people skills at all.
Right.
And so it's so easy for them to bash other people in a self mechanism protecting kind of way. And
Right.
I think that's where I've been good as I am a people person. I love talking to people. I do it for a profession. So anytime someone calls, I'm happy to chat with them and answer the questions up the wazoo. But not every breeder's like that. Not every breeder's like that, unfortunately.
Right, exactly. And I tell people, like in my mentor program, we just expect certain things, right? Like people expect that if you get a dog from someone, that is your mentor. And
Right.
I'm like, well, but not everybody's cut out to be a mentor. And
Correct.
some people don't have the time
Fine.
or
Yeah.
interest in doing that.
Yeah.
So, I am in a good position because people pay me to do it, right? So there's
Yeah.
no guilt feeling. They don't have to feel like they're taking advantage. Literally, they're paying me to be available.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that the people, the human personalities definitely come into play a lot.
Definitely.
So it definitely, what are we doing wrong? Why is
Yeah.
this? Why
Yeah.
are people that want a Portuguese water dog going to get a doodle because they
Yeah.
didn't get, how can we do things differently? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I think a lot of it is that we have to promote and get the word out more about our breed. And again, you never want to bash the opponent, right? Like, so those who know me, I'm a huge Barack Obama fan, right? And like, so he never like bashed his components, right? Like he just would
Right.
say like, well, that's their point of view, but let me tell you why I'm better. And so that's kind of my mentality to everything that I do. I try to like, so I think we have to do the same thing with promoting our breeds, right? Like, let's
Right.
find that you're eating a Labrador. Let me tell you why a Portuguese water dog is better. Let me tell you
Yeah.
why we health test. I just drove an hour today to do a surf exam on my bitch that I'm going to breed, right? Like, so like why I'm putting that time in her before I breed her, and these health tests, like why this is more important. So we need to do that. And I think we could leverage technology better to do it, right? So
Right.
social
For
media,
sure.
that's, I think huge. Websites is huge. Paid search optimization, huge, right? There are ways that we can get out there more and promote our breed. I think just walking around the neighborhood and going to local pet stores with your dog, well groomed, is a great way of promoting your breed, right? And making sure you place the puppies in great homes of folks who will promote your breed. I think that's some of the biggest stuff. And I can't say enough about social media. We can get into it now, or technology. But I think
Yeah, for sure.
utilizing things. So, I mean, the first one is obviously Facebook, right? Like we're all on Facebook 24/7, right? I think having a Facebook page for your kennel and being accessible and posting great pictures, and not just show win pictures. People love pet pictures
Right.
also, we call them that, right? And like they want to see that
Mhm.
these dogs are really cute. It's always funny, like when people ask for like, oh, who's the father, who's the mother, and I send them like these best of pictures. They're like, oh, nice. And then I send like a silly one of them on the couch. They're like, oh my God, I love it, right? Because
Right. Exactly.
like they don't care that it went, best of breed at the garden or best in show,
Right.
this, whatever. Like they want to see them being a really dog jumping in the pool or whatever. So I always try to send a mix of those type of pictures.
Yeah.
And then also, I think on a website or on a social, have mix of both of those. The second one I think is Instagram. Instagram, I think, is really underutilized because I think there are some things you can do with being interactive with followers and
Right.
doing lives like that. There's a gal up in Pacific Northwest. I think she's in Washington. She breeds Clumber Spaniels, a young girl. I mean, like her Instagram is like on point. I mean, like she does cute, funny stuff. She does ask me anything about my breed. She reacts to people. She engages. Like her Instagram is like on point. And like
Oh, that's
that's
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, and I know that, and people are so like, oh my God, technology is so hard. It's so like there's a YouTube video for everything. Like get off of
Totally.
Facebook for half an hour, watch a YouTube video on how to
Yeah.
create an Instagram page for your kennel and promote your breed, instead of getting on Facebook and complaining about the judging from last weekend, or how that judge is so dumb, or how this person doesn't know what they're talking about, right?
Totally. Absolutely.
Websites. I think websites are crucial. And there's so many platforms, Wix, Square, these ones where literally you just drag and drop the images. You drag and drop the
So
text,
easy,
and people
even
like,
from
oh,
10 years ago.
it's so simple. And like, I don't know how to build a website. Again, get off of Facebook, go on YouTube, watch a YouTube video. You'll learn it. And obviously, that's what I did in the pandemic. Like, I learned how to build a website, and I built mine. And it's so easy. Buy a domain, you're good to go. You have a website. You have some way for people to find you and look for you. That's the first part of it, right? So like, you got to build your brand. People got to be able to know where you're at, but then you need to respond. Right? You got to respond to them. So when they talk to you, you got to talk back. There are things you can do so automated messages, like when folks email you, automated messages like, hey, thank you for emailing us. We currently don't have any puppies, but are expecting some this date, right? Like, there's automated messages that
absolutely
you can put that may solve those questions right quick, right? So like, do you have puppies? What does it cost? Like those normal top of the line questions folks add. What else? Yeah, so I think social media is like, the technology is great. Paid search optimization, which is basically when you Google something, depending on your geographical location, what comes up. And I just was playing around with it before we hopped on a call. So if you Google, and this again, it's Google location, but if you Google French Bulldog, the French Bulldog Club of America doesn't come up till 10th on Google search, which is like, that's like, what the heck? But like, all these other like puppy scammy things come up before the French Bulldog Club of America. Again, like, this is just like at this time, because with paid search optimization, it's all about bidding and like getting above. And so I won't get too complicated, but it does change at any point in time. But as of right now, when I just Googled it half an hour ago, they were 10th on the list of Google search, which is crazy. And it's about the words that was in the website that makes it come up. So again, a YouTube video could teach you these things. You could build a great website.
And if somebody can't do it, their kid can do it.
Yeah. Or you can hire someone to do it for you.
Or you can hire someone. But literally, like Wix or something. Those really are so easy. And one of the things about that I've noticed about like really, really good breeders a lot of the time is that their website is so outdated, and it's like, it just looks like they're not active anymore at all. And you're literally going, oh my gosh, I just saw them at the dog show. How is the last thing up here from 2016, And so I think it's when you can go onto some of these big old fancy, mixed breed kennels that are creating, it's usually doodles, but and it's like, and anything under the sun you can find mixed with a doodle, and you'll find a website, and the puppies are, we're talking sometimes 4, 5, 6 grand. They're not even cheap, but they are readily available. There's little beautiful puppy pictures with them, and you could literally just say, click on it if it's available and give a deposit.
Yep, I'm telling you. There was one I saw for a turnkey puppy. So it knew like sit, lie down, come, sleep in a crate. I think it was $25,000. Like, I know. I'm undercharging if that's the case. You know what I mean? But it's just, it's nuts. And so, but
it's totally true.
Someone who is like a business savvy person who thinks, okay, I don't have time to teach the puppy to sleep in a crate. I got 2 kids. I go to soccer practice. I work full time. My husband full time. Maybe it's worth spending the extra $5,000 to have this puppy come, no, sit, lie down. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is how
exactly.
People think. This is how. I've worked at some really smart tech companies, and I know how some of these folks think. And for them, it's like time is money, and so maybe it is worth paying someone to sell me a turnkey puppy who knows sit, lie down, come, and will sleep in a crate.
Yeah, exactly. Which, by the way,
standard for us.
We do this anyways, right? But I didn't think to put it on there and act like it was an extra service that I should get another $10,000 for. We have a lot of comments and questions. It's really good stuff. We had a question on let's see, where did that one go? Oh, Cicely asked, what are our thoughts on AKC Marketplace? And I'll just say right off the bat, from my last litter, I did an ad on there, and I got a lot of people, and I was real happy with that.
Yep, I'm not against AKC Marketplace at all. They're kind of doing some of the legwork for you, and so I'm not against. And again, they're marketers, right? Like I just got a meeting for this with our CMO of my company, and so like we talk about like marketing, and like they're marketers, like they get it. And so I'm not against AKC Marketplace, but if you just think you can take it a step further by creating your brand and being able to have a product and present yourself.
And so they can I think AKC Marketplace, like I remember when I got started in dogs, like it was like the biggest sin if you were in the newspaper. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
don't put ads in the newspaper. That is so disgusting, right?
Yeah.
And then it became Craigslist. But and I think, I mean, I've gotten not dogs, I don't think, but I've certainly gotten parrots off
Yeah.
Craigslist before.
But if you put
So
it
I think you could find stuff maybe,
yeah,
but it's like I like Marketplace because I think I paid $30 to do an ad. I'm still getting people from that. And
yeah.
at least I know they've taken the time to go in and, you know, like look
Right,
for somebody who's, you know,
right,
like has the purebred dogs. Like
right,
that's the
right,
starting
right.
place, right?
Right, right. And again, like if you're just the average family, right? And your kid says, "Mommy, I want a dog." Like, what would you do? Like, if you say, like, what is the first thing you're gonna Google it? You're gonna look it up online.
Right.
What's the first thing you're gonna do? And you're gonna surf around and you're gonna find. And AKC Marketplace sounds great. It's American Kennel Club. It's like this sounds legit, right?
Right.
And then imagine if you then click on this breeder that's in your area and like, oh my god, look at the website, right? Like we got to meet folks where they want to be met at, and we're not
Right.
doing that. I think as AKC purebred people.
I think so too. I also think that like if people have a hard time with answering emails or they just like like that's not their jam and they don't want to do it. If you have an application on your website, that can sort of weed out people
Yep,
too,
yep,
because you could be like right away, yeah, this home is not for me,
yep,
or,
yep, yep.
like
And there's
maybe,
and then there's like automatic. Some I know some breeders have like you got to print out the PDF and like I mean there's like again it's so easy. Like literally fill out this Google form. It goes to your email box. You read it. If they're a good fit, they hyper. I mean like it's the technology is out there, folks. There's YouTube video for everything. It we're totally missing the mark here, and we're not making ourselves accessible by sleeping in some of this technology.
exactly. So, Carrie said, "Are you familiar with Good Dog? Any thoughts on that kind of program matching breeders with prospective buyers?"
I'm not familiar with that, but I mean I know someone who this is kind of what he does. Like he has great network of like breeders and all that. And so folks will call him and he kind of will consultate them on like where to go for a purebred dog. And I presume this is kind of like that, but I don't know.
Oh, that's kinda neat. Well, I will say that I am listed on Good Dog,
Okay.
but I'm not gonna continue to do it because I think it started out as a really good idea, but
Yeah.
now it's become where you have to, like people have to pay through there, and they can't really
Uh,
hook up with a breeder until they
I
make a
see.
deposit, which I'm not comfortable with
Yeah.
because I just, like, wanna be able to,
Yeah.
you know, to
Yeah.
talk to people and get a
Yeah.
feeling if we're a match or,
Yeah.
if we're not another match.
Yeah. That's a
Um,
good service, Vicky. You should add that to your portfolio. Like matching
okay.
puppy buyers with breeders.
Yeah, I should. That's a really good idea. Look, okay. I'll add that to my website today.
Yeah.
I do wanna say something else that I think is really important, and it's that I think, in whatever we do, right? Anything that involves a lot of human beings, and competition, there's people who, like, don't get along with other people,
Yeah.
and then there's these wars and stuff, but I think it's really important that breeders do work together to some extent. Like, even if, you don't like someone, if you know that they make
Have
nice
puppies.
dogs and they're
You have
stable
to.
and healthy,
Yes.
tell
Yeah.
people to go there if they're looking for a puppy. Because where
I
do you
will
want them to
say
go
this quote.
instead?
I will say this quote, and this will be my favorite quote, and it always will be. The day that dog people realize that the preservation of of their breed, is more important than their ego, will all be a lot better. We're all going to
Totally.
be gone, dead, long gone and dead. But guess what? Portuguese water dogs, hopefully, will still be here. And
Right.
our bones and picked, and you won the national, I didn't win, and you won winner's dog, I didn't like. That's going to come and go. But hopefully, our breed will still be here. So the
Right.
preservation of our breed is way more important than our ego. And when dog people can realize that, we'll be a whole heck of a lot better.
And our breed, the breed, and even bigger than the breed, the sport
Yes.
is bigger than me or you. It's
Yep.
like it's collective, right?
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
like and I just wanna give you a little shout out and say thank you because I will say that somebody in my mentor program, I'm telling you this to everybody now,
Mhm.
um, had a puppy that was not thriving and asked me if I knew anything about, tube feeding, and I didn't, and I contacted actually, Remy and said, "Do you know how to do this? Will you help her?" And I think they were on the phone within a half an hour, and that puppy's nursing now and thriving. I think Nicole's on here actually.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, that's what I mean. It's like you didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? But it's just
Yeah.
like that's a kindness, right? Like to
Right.
help someone who you know, like if anybody on here is breeders, and I'm sure you are, like you know how
Oh,
devastating it is when you've got a sick puppy and you don't know
yeah.
what to do, especially
Right.
if you have to do something that's scary,
Right.
like help out a puppy who's stuck or like that tube feeding for that baby. Nicole said, I'm
Right.
actually in the whelping box with her now.
Mhm. Yeah.
So she's thriving, and that actually makes me super happy.
That's great.
Um, but I think it's really important that, breeders kind of get over the thing of like just like so much infighting and stuff,
Oh,
you
it's
know what
just
I mean? And be willing to like if not even necessarily with the breeding, but just like sharing
rooting
information
for
and
yeah.
sharing, like getting people to know who else might have puppies or who
Yeah.
could help, those
Right.
types of things. It's
Right.
so, so important.
Right. That's one thing that I commend Water Dog. I think we've done a great job with our health testing, because we have tried really hard to be transparent and to like, how do we all work? We had a puppy eye syndrome affected our breed really heavily about 4 years ago. It was like a big thing. And within, I think, a matter of a couple of years, we developed a marker for it. We have now a marker, we have a test for it. And it's because like the breeders came together. Shout out to the Pouch Cove people for kind of getting the ball going and like matching from a monetary standpoint. I think we raised like $20,000 for the research of it, and then like people sending in the puppies who had passed away, and like that's amazing that a disease like that, we got it figured out, we got a marker for it. We now can continue our breeding in a matter of like that quickly because everyone worked together, and so
Right.
I think that's like what breeders have to do. Again, put their egos aside and the preservation of the
Mhm.
breed.
Yeah, and really be willing to be honest and share information. Like
Yeah.
it's really important. And I feel like if somebody cannot or is not willing to educate, they have to be willing to, you know, send these people to someone who will,
You will, yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
it's not like, "I don't have a litter, so let me put you on a list for 4 years."
yeah,
And then it's like, why would I do that if I know somebody else who
yeah,
is maybe a more prolific breeder, maybe has more litters than me,
right, right,
then I could just, you know what I mean? So I
yeah,
think it's really important that we don't look at, like, it just as ourself, but, like, what we're
yeah,
doing for our breed as a
yeah,
whole and
yeah,
how we can, share that information and get people.
yeah, and then thing drives me crazy too is when people will be like, "Oh, they bought a puppy from so and so instead of me," and I talk to them, like, it doesn't matter, like,
Yeah.
they're buying a purebred dog, and if you needed that money so much, then you probably shouldn't be breeding anyway. Like if you're like, oh my god, that was I needed that $2,500, like then you probably shouldn't be breeding. If
Right.
that's if you're doing it for the amount of reasons, but like yeah, okay, you maybe spent 2-3 hours with them and then they go get one from Susie Jane and like, okay, but at least they bought a purebred dog. They didn't go to the pound. They didn't get a doodle. They obviously did their homework like most breeders. Like, so we got to get off of that other kick too. I recently heard a story of a breeder who sold a puppy to a gentleman. He went and got a puppy from someone else. This breeder was super upset at him. And it's like they're not like you don't own them. Like they bought a dog from you. They fulfilled their obligations. They wanted to buy another dog. Like they're allowed
Right.
to do that. You don't own these people when you sell them a puppy. They are allowed to buy dogs from wherever they want to buy them from.
Oh, I
Um,
think that's such a big problem with the some way that people feel that they're mentoring, but to me, mentoring is helping someone develop and grow, but
yeah,
then nurturing when they start to have opinions,
right.
right?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
I mean, my dachshunds now do not look like the first one I got, and I
Yeah.
love that dog to the ends of the earth, but you
Yeah.
know what? He isn't what like my aesthetic now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because we
Right.
develop and we change and we grow and
Right.
we get different we learn more about the
Right.
standards and everything.
Exactly. 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 That's great.
Andrea asked, let me put this up here. Do you worry that it won't get paid forward? I always refer, but there are many who don't.
Um, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I mean, I think you gotta look at yourself in the mirror and say, did I do my due diligence to my breed, my conscious, my mankind, my moral values? I think My mother used to always say, at the end of the day, you want someone to always say he was a gentleman, no matter what, like whatever it may be. If they
Right.
can't say that about you, then you miss the mark. That's what I think. I think if they can just say, you know what, he was a gentleman, then I'm happy.
So much of it, I really feel like it and I know people just think I'm a hippie and, this is why I say these things,
Mm.
but I really do think that it comes back to kindness so
Yeah,
much of the time. Like I love my dogs and I love talking about my dogs and I'm not offended if someone's like wiener dog, like at all. Like if
Mhm.
you don't like that, you probably shouldn't have this breed because
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah,
funny and you know what I mean? But
yeah,
sometimes I feel like even at dog shows, I've seen people ask somebody like, "Oh, is that a cocker?" And it's like, "No, it's a cavalier." And it's
yeah.
like, you just had a really great opportunity
Ready to
to be
educate.
like, "No, this is a different breed." And,
Yeah,
but instead they just get offended and annoyed. And it's like, that's really the part that we need to change, I think, in so many
yeah.
ways.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think we are our biggest enemy.
Yeah.
We are our biggest enemy of not being accessible, and then I think also not having enough, not breeding for the pet market, and not having enough puppies available. And if there are puppies available, pointing people in the right direction. I think it's our fault.
Yeah, I think so too. So I think that hopefully we've given people some ideas. I think that I just can't encourage people enough to be willing to talk to people. Like whenever I'm raising a puppy, that puppy goes with me to the grooming shop when I go to work. Like that's how I raise
Yep,
baby dogs.
yep.
And so like one of our clients has a Lauchin now
Hmm.
because she saw mine and a
That's great.
whole bunch more like them and know what they are.
Yeah,
And it's like to be quite honest with you, my white Lauchin could pass for a Maltipoo.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right, right.
But she's this beautiful champion, purebred dog, and she's healthy. And, I mean, they didn't even know that existed.
Right, exactly, exactly.
So I think so much of it is the advertising and these big websites. We have to have good websites. We have
Yeah,
to keep them updated. I was actually gonna like share a screen and go look at a website, but I decided that would just, I mean, we know what we're talking about, right? You don't want
yeah,
to go onto a website and see that they say we have a litter due in fall of 2019 and
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, I guess they're not doing this anymore.
Right,
So that
right,
stuff has
right.
to be updated. We have
Yeah,
to answer questions. And I think that people who aren't, you know, people who are new to a breed, so maybe they don't feel like they're an expert, like you're still allowed to be an ambassador for your breed. You're still
exactly.
allowed to like talk your dog up and tell people everything you know. And then, send them to where they can get more information, usually the parent club. And a
Right.
lot of the parent clubs do have decent
Yeah, a
websites.
lot of them do. A lot of them do have really decent websites, which is cool, which is really cool. But I mean, you got to think. I like to think everything is kind of like an Apple product, right? Like Apple product. Like the minute you walk in, you're like, "Buy me," right? Like it's just. I mean, the minute you walk in an Apple store, right? And I think
Right.
like that's how your website needs to be. You got to present your product, your brand, and yeah, and brag. We got to brag on ourselves. Like we're
Yeah.
doing health testing. We have 6 generations of champions. Like brag on yourself. Like this whole thing are like we got to promote ourselves. Simple as that. We promote
Mhm.
ourselves.
What do you think's a good way to answer people if they say, "Well, why? Why should I get," or even not even maybe not even why
Yeah.
should I get a purebred, but why should I get one from, a preservation breeder and
Right.
not just go on Craigslist when I can get one for $400? Like, why
Exactly.
not just do that?
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
what could we tell them?
Yeah, so I think it's the quality, right? Like I think it's showing them like, look, this is a pedigree. I can show you pictures of every one of these dogs in the. It's the predictability that you're buying, right? You know,
Right.
which it always great. Like people like love luxury brands like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, right? They love the like they have but so like we are a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton of purebred dogs. Like so
Right.
we have to carry ourselves like that. Look at the predictability. Like I can tell you this dog is going to live to this age or this age. I can tell you they're going to grow this big. I can tell you they're going to do this when they get this age. Guess what? Because I have 6 generations and their great grandmother did that and their grandmother like it's the predictability that we need to practice
Right.
and preach. I was funny at the dog park. I don't go to the dog park often anymore, but when I used to go to the park, it was like, oh, sorry, she's a rescue. Like, oh, sorry, he's a rescue. Like, anytime the one acting up, right? And it used to crack me up because I'd be like, oh, this is a rescue. But like, but then the well-behaved one is, it's interesting. And so I think we have to like preach our predictability is the biggest thing.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny you said that because we've literally at the grooming shop had people like one-upping each other on how horrible their
Oh,
rescue dog's life was
yeah,
before it came to them. And it's like, like, oh, this happened to him. And it's
yeah,
like, probably a man didn't hit him. I
yeah,
work with a million dogs that never
yeah,
got hit by a man and they're all scared of
yeah,
men. You
yeah,
know what I mean? But it's like that there's just some people, like I have friends who are always going to get a rescue dog. And
yeah,
it's like, but you're telling me you really want to compete in this sport. You really want a dog who's going to be sound and have the mind and body to do that. And they're like, I'm not going to buy
yeah,
a dog though. So it's
yeah,
like, okay, I get that there's people like that, but I think that there's a whole lot of people who
yeah,
are who could be persuaded.
yeah.
I like what Cicely said. I also tell people they don't just get a puppy from me; they get a lifetime of support.
Yeah, no, definitely. And
Because
on that,
that's important, right? We're just
like
not going
that,
to run off.
like one up each other. There was a trend. I worked at a large search engine company. I won't name names. And there was like a trend of like for 6 months, everybody was getting these like foreign rescue. Like this was from Vietnam. This one's from Russia. This one's from
Yeah.
like, and so we would all meet like in the main quad area to let the dogs all play. And I'd bring my Portuguese Water Dog, and Susie would bring, and like there was like the 6 or 7 month trend where everybody was like getting these foreign, and they were all one upping one, like, oh, this was a street dog, and and I just
This is a Formosan mountain dog.
yeah, and it just would crack me up. Like it just would crack me up. But even those like rescue, like they've done a great job branding their whole thing around like you're raising this. You get a little passport with the dog, and it's like it's all
Right.
branded, you know what I mean? And so yeah, that was funny.
Well, but that's, I mean, honestly, some of the rescue stories are, you would think that they would make people run, right?
Yeah,
Like, because as a behavior consultant, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound like it's going to be
yeah,
so good. But people are like, oh my God, like he was on the streets and then this happened and that happened and
yeah,
he's so scared. And I'm just thinking, oh, that's going to be a lot for us to unpack and sort of
right,
fix, but it
yeah,
makes people feel good.
yeah,
How can we make them feel good about buying a purebred dog? You know what I mean?
right,
I
right,
think a lot of it is really just like, you know, teaching people that it's like, this is history. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
it
Like,
is.
this is
It's
important. Like,
right,
these dogs were developed for reasons. And, if you don't like breeders, then you really don't like your purebred, right? So,
right,
like the people that are like, "Oh, I just hate breeders so much," but then they're walking around with a purebred whatever. It's
right,
like that dog came from somewhere, and you
right,
got one that has all sorts of problems.
right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
no,
it's like, but you're angry at breeders in general
right.
when like we're trying to do the right thing and put quality purebreds out there.
Or I guarantee you they wear nothing but a name brand particular clothing, or they drive a particular car because
Yeah.
it's the best car, and so it's the same a Subaru or Toyota. Like I gotta have my. It's we have to change our mind, like change the mindset of it all. The reason
Exactly.
why someone goes and buys nothing but my wife and I, we drive Volkswagens. Like why we keep getting Volkswagens because they're reliable, they're predictable. We know folks at the dealership are great. They see us coming, they throw in free stuff. They're there when we call. We need an appointment, right? It's the same exact thing why you would go buy a purebred Portuguese Water Dog or Lauchen because you know what you're getting. You can pick up the phone anytime and call the breeder. If you have any questions, the support team, like it's the same exact concept.
Yeah, exactly. I think, kind of in closing, maybe probably the best place for people to start their search is with the parent club, don't you
Yeah,
think?
but I think also come to a dog show. I think
Yeah,
the Parent
yeah.
Club website is great. I really do. But I think coming to the dog show is so much better. And hopefully they have a positive experience, like I did. I'll tell you one time when I did have a negative experience. I won't get into it, but I've had when I first started going to dog shows, I had
Yeah.
negative experience. But good thing, like I came back and I kept going. So hopefully they come, they have a positive experience because I think you see so much more in person versus on a website and a good picture. So maybe start at the parent club and have some ideas of some breeds, but like you gotta go to the local dog show. You gotta go to the local dog show
I
and
think that that's a great idea, and I think it's even a better idea if you can talk with a breeder first and
yeah.
know that
Hey,
someone's
I'm
gonna be there that
coming.
you can talk
Yep,
to. Yeah,
yep,
because you don't wanna like, sometimes people will I'll tell people to go to a dog show, but then I'll look it up for them and tell them what time their breed is
yeah.
showing, so they don't show up at 2 o'clock and,
Right.
the porty showed at 8 and it's like
Yeah.
they're all gone now,
They're all gone. Yeah,
which is
yeah.
why
Well,
Cow
that's a good
Palace was so
call.
fabulous, you
Yeah,
know?
no, that's a good call. That's Cal
Yeah.
Palace, right? Like handlers, people bash Cal Palace, but the bench dog shows are crucial. And I know AKC is doing a lot with Meet the Breeds, and I think that's something that we could probably, if we do away with bench shows, I think we could promote Meet the Breeds more,
Yeah.
and have them like. I think they are doing a little bit of a road show, but like a road show of Meet the Breeds in like all your major metropolitan areas. So LA, San Francisco, Chicago, Dallas, right? Like I think that is a
Oh, that would
huge,
be
right?
amazing.
Like I would like to see something like that. Like I would like to see the AKC do a huge Meet the Breeds road show around the country, and get parent clubs involved. And one of the things the Water Dog Club did, which was brilliant, we spent money to have a banner made, like one of those stand-up banners, and it
Yeah.
has like pictures of our breed, some cool facts. It's pretty. It's something that people can look at and see, and it travels around. Like at Cow Palace, we had it up, but stuff like that. Like I think get the parent club behind it. But I think this idea of like a meet the breed road show would be kind of, or like a circus, like a meet the
So,
breed circus.
well, you know what I was thinking? It could be like people love like dog day in the park and those kinds of things
Yeah,
where it's all dogs, where it's like nobody's having to rush off to go to the ring and nobody's having to groom dogs so they can't
yeah,
talk, where you
yeah,
really could, that's a really great idea.
yeah.
I would love that. I thought you would want to see this. Remy, you are a gentleman of the Portuguese water dog breed. Thank you so much for all that
Yeah,
you do.
yeah. Thanks, Tracy.
Okay, any other closing thoughts?
No, I think just be kind to one another. I mean, like I can't say that enough, right? And I think, like I said again, I think the day the dog folks realized that the preservation of our breed is more important than egos, we'd be a lot better off. We're in this together, guys. All of us as purebred dog people. We have enough against us with legislation and PETA and the doodle people. Like we gotta stick together. Like if we don't
Right.
protect each other, then nobody will protect, nobody will stand up for us. And so be kind to one another, help each other out, clean up after yourselves at hotels and fairgrounds, so we can continue to
Yeah.
have dog shows at these places. It just is mind boggling when people leave fairgrounds and hotels disgusting, because it doesn't give us a venue to have dog shows, and we all need venues to have dog shows. So it's just mind boggling when folks don't do that.
And
Yeah,
I would add, be kind to your dogs
be
and be
kind to your
kind to
dogs.
your dog, not just, not just in public, but particularly in public when
Yeah,
the people are coming to see. Because I've had a lot of people get turned off. They're like, they were so mean to their dogs and da, da, da. And it's like,
yeah,
and sometimes it's just people are rushing around and they look rough or something, but it's like we really want to, we want people to think this is the place to go.
yeah.
That's where you go to look for a good
Right,
dog, is the dog
right,
show and to meet
right,
people.
right. One thing I learned, I was supposed to, when I was an assistant first starting off, the importance of like cleaning up the setup all the time and making sure the X pens are always clean. Because as the public comes, they don't want to see a dog in an X pen with poop on the ground and smelling. So like as an assistant, when I first like I always learned like anytime it's downtime, like clean the setup. Anytime a dog poops, pick it up right away. If it's loose poop, scrub it, clean the mats. Because like just hygiene for the dogs, but
Right.
also like the general public is walking past, they don't want to smell pee and poop and they think like, oh, that dog is in that. That's gross, right? Like, so think
Yeah.
about that
The
whole
poor thing.
yeah, right. Like
Yeah,
how
yeah,
we're being perceived from the public. All it takes is one. We live in such a cancel culture. All it takes is one person to take a picture, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and then we're bad dog show people.
totally. And I just want to say that you talked about your first fabulous experience at Golden Gate and how, well, my best friend wanted a pug
Mm.
so badly. That's for years she couldn't have a dog, and when she could, it was like, I'm gonna get a pug. So she went to Cow Palace, and they were so mean to her. They just nobody would answer her, nobody would talk to her. So she contacts a rescue, and because she worked full time, they wouldn't give her a dog.
Oh,
So she bought a dog off Craigslist for $500, who she had for 14 and a half years. and she loved him dearly, but, I mean, this is a 1 in a million dream home, and it's just like, you guys, like, even if you don't have puppies right now, make friendships with these people. Let them come to the dog show. I remember we would see people when, I was doing Cow Palace every year, and they would come back and they would look for our
They
dogs.
look for
"Hey,
you.
I saw him last
Yes,
year,"
they look for you. They do.
Yeah.
People do, and they're like, and then you tell them like, "Oh, this is the son." Like when I had Manly, he won the group there. Some folks that came and they were like, "Oh my god, this is Manly." And then like when I was with his son a couple years later, they're like, "Oh my god, like this is the son of that one." Yeah, like yes, it's so cool. It is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, it's really good. So, Remy, thank you so much for
My
doing this,
pleasure.
and I really hope that we're gonna do more talks like this
Yeah,
because
let's do
this
it.
was so fun, and
Yeah,
let's just figure out ways for, to bring, all of us together, breeders and good homes,
for sure.
so that we can, continue to grow as a
Definitely.
community.
Definitely. And if anyone needs help, call me, email me, text me. I'm here. Happy to do it. I'll be at Napa this weekend. So
I'll
reach
be
out.
there too.
All right.
All right, good talking to
All
you.
right. Thanks, Vicki.
Thanks
Take care.
everybody for watching.
All right. Be well.